So it just keeps going, and I'm just like, yo, this is like a Honda on steroids, you know? It's like a VTEC on steroids, because this car is probably one of the best cars I ever owned. Okay, today we're gonna talk about probably one of my fastest cars I ever owned, and probably the most emotionally draining car, wallet draining car, you know, money draining car, wallet emptying car. When it comes to fuel and maintenance, all I gotta say is the fun balances out to all the headaches that it comes with, because this car is probably one of the best cars I ever owned, and I do miss it once in a while. You know, obviously I don't own this car anymore, so yeah. So today we're gonna talk about my E60 M5. Growing up, being in the car scene, I never really batted an eye for this car. You know, I knew they were great. Obviously I knew about the V10 engine, I knew about the SMG. I didn't really like care enough about this car, honestly, growing up, and like up until I owned it, I really didn't. I knew it was a great car, I knew it sounded good with the, you know, with the certain mods on the exhausts and headers. I was never a big fan. I was actually always an Audi guy, believe it or not. You know, when it came to JDM cars, I was actually a Honda guy. Yeah, I mean, I was more of an Audi. I used to work for Audi back in the day as well. And I owned a few Audis myself. Till now, we still have Audis in my family. Like, my mom loves her Audi Q7s, Q5s. She's always had an Audi SUV. I think from the time when I used to work in Audi and I had a A4 myself working there, I think that's when the family really started, you know, getting Audis and stuff. Anyways, yeah, I mean, so I was never really a BMW guy. You know, I knew about this car. I knew how important it was to the culture, but honestly, I would not question it, but I just never cared, you know, about this car and all. So, you know, one of my friends, he has this car. So basically this car, his dad imported it back in the day, back in 2006, and he owned it. Unfortunately, you know, with the passing of his dad, they decided to sell the car. It went to the second owner, then he didn't have it for that long. I think he went ahead and then sold it to the third owner. And he had it for quite a bit. My friend who initially owned the car, you know, whose dad who owned the car, we should talk about it and stuff. So I was aware that he owned this car and stuff. Yeah, one day, my friend sends me a Snapchat of this car at the BMW workshop, you know, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then like he sent me another picture, and I noticed the number plate, and I was like, I immediately took a screenshot, sent it to my friend, and he was like, oh snap, that's my car. I'm like, yo, you should buy it back, you know, like it's finally up for sale, maybe, you know, I could ask him if he wants to sell it. So I let him know it was at the workshop. So he went ahead and obviously contacted the workshop, got the owner's number, told him that, listen, it was my dad's car, I'd love to buy it back. And it was there for some, you know, maintenance work or preventive maintenance stuff, you know, to get done. I think, you know what, it was actually there for, I think, a clutch job or something, and the part was getting delayed. So that's how we got the, you know, the jump on the car, you know, because the car's been there for a while. So anyway, so, you know, my friend speaks to the owner and makes him an offer he can't refuse, buys the car, doesn't even take a delivery, gets it rectified, spends quite a good amount of money in the double digits, that's all I gotta say, restoring the car back to, like, I don't want to say 100%, but good enough for its age, you know, like where it was pretty good. Like it had new clutches, it had, I guess, new SMG pump, it had the Vanos problem fixed as well, I think new Vanos pump, and brand new set of tires. So you know, he gets the car ready and everything, and I think he owns it for about 6-7 months or 8 months probably. And then he calls me, he's like, yo, listen, I'm selling the car, I'm having some issues with parking. And he gives me a call, you know, he gives me first right of refusal, because I was like, yo, if you ever sell this car, you know what, let me know. I was like, why not? He actually, you know, kept his word, and he gave me a call, and he's like, I'm selling the car, let me know. He's like, you know, since you helped me get the car, I thought you would get the first right of refusal on the car. So I was like, yeah, I'll get back to you, you know. I checked my funds. I was like, okay, you know what, I could probably make this happen, but I would probably have to sell one of my cars because I was having parking issues and I really wanted to keep this car. So I had an X5 3-liter diesel with the full M Sport kit. It was dope. It had the 21-inch wheels from factory. It was the only, I think, X5 in that shape that came with the factory M Sport. Not like, you know, people added on and stuff, but that actually came in spec'd by the previous owner. The car was great, man. I was fascinated by it. Running like stage 1, and you know, it was just a dope car. I lowered it, did a few sick wraps on it. You know, I did a camo theme, I did like a satin matte black. It was cool, right? And then right around the M5 time, when the time it came to buy the M5, it was wrapped satin matte black. It was nice, you know, the car was running good. It was a great car, I loved it. And back then I had my W140 as well, my S-Class W140. I had my Nissan, obviously, my 300ZX. So I was like, what am I gonna do with 4 cars? cars, man. I gotta get rid of one. I don't want to sell the 140. And obviously, I'm definitely not selling the Nissan. So I was like, the X5 is replaceable. And the X5 being actually, I think the X5 was my second BMW after my 3 Series. I was just like, you know what, it's time for an M. I need an M car. I pulled the trigger, sold my X5. At this point, I bought the M5. I still had the X5, but then I was like, I don't need 4 cars. I regret selling the X5 till date, by the way. Just a heads up, probably to the current owner right now, if you're watching this. I know it looks all cool, all gloss black. It's looking dope these days. I regret selling that car. Anyways, so yeah, I ended up selling the X5. M5's there, daily driver. All the problems were rectified. Brand new tires. I get this car for a decent price, and I pick it up, drive it around. It was actually my daily driver, obviously, because I got rid of the X5. And it was my daily driver for the longest. It had its fair issues, like we had an alternator problem. That was the first issue I was facing. That was a major issue. Other than that, oil leaks here and there, but they're all rectified. Shout out to my boy Akshay, who's been there throughout, for that car, man. Until this day, I have a funny story to tell you. Till this day, what happens to him when he sees this car. So anyways, let me talk about when I first got the car. My buddy Omkar, he was really like, shout out to Omkar, DNO Motorsports. He actually made the exhaust on the car, so he was really excited about the car, coming home, in the circle. So he was excited, and he knew so much about the car. I didn't even know, I knew the specs on the car, 510 horsepower and 500 plus newton meters of torque, but I didn't really know the meaning of the car. When I took delivery, I was like, I drove it, I got on the C-Link, and I was just like, okay, this car is quick, but I'm not really sold on it, whatever. I'll keep it for a few months and then sell it, whatever. And then later on in the night, me and Omkar go for a drive, and I still remember we're on the highway, Western Express, heading towards Mexico. We get this one straightaway right before Mexico Bridge. I go second, third, I'm cruising, fourth, fifth. I'm just cruising. I'm on sixth gear. And I just downshift. He's like, yo, go ahead. You got a straightaway. Downshift, third gear. And I just floor it. And it's around 4,500 RPM. So, obviously being an NA car, it takes its time to build up revs. I just remember it revved. And I was like, oh my God, third gear is not ending. It just keeps going because it has the 8,000, red line. So it just keeps going. And I'm just like, yo, this is like a Honda on steroids, it's like a VTEC on steroids because this is revving so high. And that was the first thing it reminded me, go from third to fourth, and even fourth gear is even longer. And I just look over to Omkar, and this is literally like a memory in my head, and he'll tell you the same thing. The look we had on each other's faces, I mean, it was just priceless. I'm just like, yo, what is this thing? And he's just like, yo, I told you. We get on the Mexico Bridge and we do another run, and I'm just like, yo, sold. Now I know now I know why everyone rags about this car. And that was the moment I was sold on the car. And on the way back, he was in another car, and he happened to get a video of the flyby. And I still remember, man, he was just like, we were on the phone talking, and he was like, yo, go for it. And I just blew past him doing I think 260. He was just like, yo, this video is priceless, Rule, why don't you just go ahead and play the video? From there, the internet went wild. A lot of people, I think I gained most of my followers after I got my M5 because I was just doing some ratchet stuff in it, sending it everywhere and any time I got a chance. Whether it's going sideways, getting onto Mexico Bridge, whether it's sideways coming off of Mexico Bridge. Everyone was just loving it because the spotters were getting their content. Some of the YouTube people got their content. They got their content because I was just sending it, man. I mean, I swear, if I started vlogging back then when my M5 was doing 100%, because I just daily the car. I remember the first video of it, shout out to my boy Yash, took a video of the M5 doing this crazy flyby. And that video, everyone was like, oh, you sped it up. Yash sent it to me. I just posted what he sent me, so everyone was proved wrong. Went back, we had the forwarded messages up there, when you send something from another person. So that's when I was like, look, he sent it to me. I sent the video, it's not sped up. And people just lost their mind on how fast this car looked because it's a four-door, and it made a lot of power, and it just, once it got moving, it just went through the gears real quick, and the flybys were crazy, as you can see. I remember set up a GoPro one night, and I just went for a Mexico run. I still remember it was so fast that that, you know, I hit some crazy numbers. As you can see in the video, the GoPro actually like folded back. I remember the video was actually like 22 or 23 seconds, and like I trimmed it so it's only like, so that part's not seen, because it looks really bad. It looks like it flew off. It looks scary actually, just looking at the Mexico bridge upside down when the camera flipped. So, you know, I trimmed that 1 second off, and even that video, I was like, oh, you split it up. Another thing about the car I forgot to mention, the main problem about you start facing, and wish I knew before I did this mod, is that everyone recommended don't do headers. And I came to know this, I came to know about this after I got headers and after I started facing issues. For some reason, they're like, don't mess with it. Basically, it's the F1 engine. You know, it comes almost maxed out from factory because it's an NA car. There's only so much you can do. It's already maxed out. And obviously, if you get rid of the cats and stuff, because emission norms, you will gain, you know, horsepower, obviously. And honestly, before the headers, the car was fine. It felt fast. It put a lot of cars to shame, you know, newer generation cars as well. So it did its thing, you know, and honestly, I wish I left it stock. This car has seen its fair share of wraps as well. You know, I started off, first thing I did was, I was always fascinated by this color from BMW called Frozen Silver. So I went ahead and did the Frozen Silver wrap. Went ahead and got some Bayern rotary forged wheels. Shout out to, you know, 4S Auto for, you know, hooking them up. Loved by perfect fitment, the perfect offset. The car looks so good with those diamond cut face on the wheels, you know, the shiny part, like it was all polished. It looks so good. It went so well with the Frozen Silver wrap. Unfortunately, with the Frozen Silver wrap, when it's matte, you know, these matte wraps, these, especially these light colors, they tend to get dirty. And obviously, being a BMW, it was at the workshop a lot, so it tend to get dirty around the hood, around the bumper, you know, around the fenders and stuff. So eventually I got tired of it and I got rid of the wrap. By the way, shout out to Kunal at Auto Customs for hooking it up. He was the only person I used to send my M5 to for wrap. After the Frozen Silver, I did a satin Nero black. Again, Kunal did a fantastic job, and I think I had it for about a month and a half, maybe 2 months, and then I went ahead and did a little camo. We did Frozen Silver with satin matte black, some red outlining, red detailing. It looked really dope. After that, I had this funny Easter egg on the car. A lot of people still talk about it. A lot of people, you guys probably don't even know about this, you know, but you know, I'm pretty creative when it comes to my cars, or I used to be, I don't know anymore, but I got this idea to get these messages put on the exhaust tips. So I was like, what can we write? You know, I've seen it online, obviously, other people do it, but I was just like, you know, I want to do it too. So I wrote something really funny, you know, we wrote send nudes. It was hilarious, you know, you guys would have loved it. It would have been a lot of memes if it came out today, you know, a lot of people don't know about that. I did some pretty innovative stuff back then. So yeah, I mean, I went and got those exhaust tips. It was pretty funny. Everyone used to like take pictures of it and stuff. So after all that, you know, I started facing issues later on, and honestly, it was after the headers, and I don't want to blame it completely on the headers or whatever, but because I went to two set of headers, and one was a custom one, and then one was Evolve headers. It had an issue with the fuel pump. We had to replace a fuel pump, obviously, because, you know, once you mod the car like that, it's going to need a better fuel pump, obviously, because you're making a lot more power. It needs more fuel into the motor. So the fuel pump went, we had to change the fuel pump. Later on, I had some issues with the transmission, because the aftermarket headers, even though it had the wraps on it, it was just putting a lot more heat than your normal headers would, you know? And these SMG transmissions would, you know, get all these issues, you know, when there's a lot of heat, like especially if you're driving around in traffic. And on top of that, the heat from the headers, you know, really throws things off. You know, I started facing issues like that. You know, shout out to Akshay at Redline, because he really, you know, sorted it out. I've been to other few workshops where they tried to fix the transmission issues and didn't really work out. But Akshay always, you know, came through his workshop. They always got the transmission issues sorted. You know, it was still on the same set as clutches, by the way, from the time I got it too. So it wasn't any clutch issues. It was just strictly just wiring and old modules like the SMG pump. Once it was like the oil pressure pump for the transmission. It had its fair share of issues with the transmission. I would love to have a manual. We even considered doing it, but it was just too much work, you know, finding the wiring harness and matching it up and stuff. And obviously they only make it for left-hand drive because it was only available in America. The one time America did get something good that the rest of the world didn't. So it was only available in America, and there are a few people that have successfully done it, but you know, nothing online where you can just go on and look up, do the swap easily. I remember the last, Ruel remember too, Ruel, the last drive I did, I think I remember the day, it was like December 7th, 2019, and it's early in the morning. We had to go for this drive set up by Speedfest. Shout out to Speedfest. They did this drive for underprivileged kids, and that was the last. And obviously I took the four-door because, you know, have the kids sit in the back. By the way, you can check out the vlog. It's linked in the description, or where you're gonna Ruel will put a pop-up or something, I don't know. But anyways, I still remember it was early in the morning. We had to be there by 7, so we left my house around like 6:15, 6:30. We got on Mexico Bridge, and it's completely empty. I've never seen Mexico Bridge that empty. I'm literally like, there's probably one car. I see an opportunity to send it like I always do. And it's been a while since we sent it. I still remember, man. Ruel didn't know what was going on. He was just, I didn't know how to explain how he looked on his face because he was recording. You know, I wish I could show you guys, but we have that video. But we should do like a OnlyFans premium account for these videos or something. And it's pretty crazy, you know. We hit obviously somewhere close to 200 miles an hour, and it was fascinating. It was a good way. It was my last time doing that in that car. And then that day, what happened was when I hit, you know, somewhere around 200 miles an hour, O2 sensor from the header, my Evolve header, I guess over time it just lost the grip in the where it mounts in or whatever, and it just came out while, you know, I was driving. I heard the leak, but I couldn't really figure out where it was. Kept on driving, did the event, you know, which I regret doing it. I should have just stopped. I actually was hearing the sound of the O2 sensor being dragged. I should have just stopped then, but I was just like, you know what, these kids need to get ridden. You know, they need the ride. I cannot, you know, let these kids down. The show must go on, right? So, yeah, you know, took the kids for a spin, sent it as well on the drive. Few places. Transmission light comes on. It was just a transmission light. It was the yellow light. If it's a red light of the transmission, it's bad. But first it was the yellow light. And luckily, since, you know, I had this car, I used to always carry a scanner along, and I went to scan it, and it wouldn't erase the code. It just wouldn't go away. And then eventually I remember starting the car and the red transmission light came on, and it was just stuck in 2nd gear, 4th gear, and 6th gear. It wouldn't go in any other gears. It wouldn't even go in reverse. I had to literally put in neutral and push the car back. We E60 M5 owners got to be in touch with each other because, you know, I learned a lot of things, fellow owners, made a lot of friends internationally as well, you know. Anyways, eventually the car, you know, just started giving me issues, was showing its age, and like I said, after that one drive with the O2 sensor that came out, it just went in the workshop and went into Redline Auto Haus in, I remember, January of 2020. We were just trying to rectify the old part, see if we could get it running. I think it was SMG pump or something, or some shift module or something. You know, we were just trying to rectify and fix that problem, fix that part itself, you know. We were like, okay, we need to order one. We order it, it gets there March 22nd. But my car's been in the workshop for 3 months already, or almost 3 months, like 2.5 months. Not like it was sitting, it was just, you know, we were just trying to figure out the problems. Anyways, we realized we had to order the part, gets to India March 21st, sorry, the day before the lockdown, and they just let us know it's there. We can come on Monday and pick it up, it being a Saturday. Next day, our great PM decided to impose a lockdown, you know, whatever, for the better, whatever. Did a lockdown, everything shut, obviously, FedEx, UPS, all these international companies, everything shut, especially workshops, you know, so even if we got the part, there's no point. And even if I fixed the car, I couldn't drive it anyway, so yeah, the car was in the workshop. Slowly, when everything started opening up, Redline Auto Haus, we got the car running, up and running, you know, the part came in, once the lockdown opened up, we got the car fixed. Did a few drives. The car had, you know, transmission mounts that were bad, so it would, you know, create this horrible vibration. I just never got around to fixing it. You know, we ordered the parts for it, but before it came in, I ended up selling the car to my well-known friend who's been on here on Car Stories, Imran. Him being a shrewd negotiator, I'll tell you that. But he gave me an offer I couldn't refuse. Obviously, you know, I did give him a little better deal than I would normally give someone because, you know, it was nice that was going into the family, you know, him getting it is like me owning it, you know. He's always told me you can come by, drive it anytime you want. But yo, I get anxiety when I see that car now, you know. Even, so what I was saying earlier, Akshay from Redline Auto Haus, every time Imi brings it out to a drive, touch wood, is running great. It's a great car. As I told Imran as well, it's a great car once you get everything rectified. And Imran got the, you could say, the cherry on top because everything's done now. The car's running perfect. Akshay somehow still gets anxiety and flashbacks of when he had to fix it and stuff. But you know, touch wood is running great now. Imi's loving it. It's in great hands. He's got a few offers on the car as well, and he's not willing to let it go. You know, first of all, everything's, you know, for sale for the right price, and obviously that's my policy and his, obviously. So until you give him a good offer on it, I don't think he's gonna let that go. And he has 2 of them. He has a black one which is supercharged on 21-inch hard edge wheels, you know, beautiful car, big brake kit, AP Racing brakes, got the G-Power supercharger kit. Yeah, that thing's a different beast, you know. And then my car was blue. You know, we had wrapped it neon blue. You know, shout out to Car Auto Customs when I had it. We wrapped it neon blue. Yeah, so when I sold Imi the car, he went ahead and removed the wrap, and now it's gray. So yeah, it's in good hands. Great car. Probably would I recommend owning one? I think every car enthusiast, you know, if you have the funds to buy this car, I would recommend owning this car and experiencing this car because Ruel's gonna play a clip from Jeremy Clarkson. and he will tell you himself.
Doesn't matter what you've got, doesn't matter what you've ever driven. This is quicker, it's faster, it's more astonishing.
So as you heard from Jeremy, he said, you know, it's the best car he's ever driven practically. So I can tell you the same thing. The emotion, the feeling it gives you butterflies, honestly. I still remember that first fourth gear pull that I was talking about, which I did with my buddy Omkar, the first pull I ever did in that fourth gear pull. I still remember that, you know, so the butterflies it gave me. And yeah, man, like, it's a great car, and it's obviously the first car I ever hit, or probably the second car I ever hit, you know, 200 plus miles per hour. But it's probably the car I hit 200 miles per hour the most, like multiple times. Fast car, gives you a lot of anxiety, but a lot of smiles. That car is all about smiles. Would I recommend owning one? Like I said, if you have the money, go for it. If you don't want to deal with the headaches, I wouldn't do it. And if you do get one, keep it stock, drive it every day, and you'll be a happy person. Don't mod it. Don't even think about it. Just leave it stock. Maybe an exhaust, maybe a muffler. But other than that, no headers, no tune. Actually, a tune's fine too. Stage 1 tune's fine. Drop-in filters, but don't do headers, don't do superchargers. Leave it stock, bone stock. Just drive it, be happy. So, I'll see you guys on another episode of Horsepower Cartel. Hope you guys enjoyed that story about my E60 M5. A lot more to come. Stay tuned. Go ahead and like this video, man. Just go ahead and like this video. If this video hits, let's say, 2,000 likes, I'll talk about why I moved to India and, you know, living in America. I'll talk about why I moved to India, what I did in America, the cars I owned back then. We even talk about my Evo 6. So go ahead. 2,000 likes, is that fair? 2,000 likes. Yeah, make sure you share this video. Stay tuned.